Halloween has always carried that strange mix of laughter and fear, a night when masks hide more than faces and shadows feel just a little too real. I never thought one of those nights would stay with me forever, burned into my memory as one of the most chilling experiences of my life. It happened when I was in college. A friend of a friend was throwing a small Halloween house party. Nothing wild, just decorations, cheap vodka, apple bobbing, and bad costumes. The usual. We arrived expecting nothing more than a few hours of lighthearted chaos. But that night, something or someone was waiting for us. Right in the center of the living room couch sat a werewolf. Not a guy in a cheap mask. No, this thing looked real. The fur shimmered under the light, the snout looked wet, and the glistening saliva around its mouth caught every flicker of the Halloween candles. It was like something ripped straight from a horror movie set. Its eyes, God, those eyes. They looked alive, glossy, real. It didn't even seem possible that someone could see out of them, yet they stared unblinking. Into the room, he was dressed oddly too, not in a full costume, just a Hawaiian shirt, chinos, and dirty sneakers. On his arms were tattoos that looked like prison ink, though we figured they were just drawn on for the night. Nobody knew who he was, but everyone assumed he was just another guest staying in character. So we let it be. The werewolf sat there, silent, watching, unmoving. As the night went on, a few of us tried to talk to him. He didn't answer, not even a word. Sometimes he'd let out a low, wheezing growl, just enough to make people laugh nervously. Other times, he sat perfectly still, staring forward like he wasn't even there. We joked that he was probably Josh, a friend of ours who loved pulling elaborate Halloween pranks. The year before, he dressed as a mannequin and stood in a corner for an hour before suddenly moving, nearly scaring someone into dropping their drink. So yeah, this felt like his style. We decided to leave the werewolf alone, waiting for the big reveal, the moment he'd leap up and send everyone screaming. We didn't know it then, but that reveal would come, just not from the person we thought. Around midnight, the front door burst open with a roar of sound, a chainsaw, the smell of latex, and laughter. It was Josh, dressed as Leatherface, swinging a toy chainsaw and apologizing for being late. And just like that, every drop of blood in my body turned cold. If Josh was here, then who the hell was the werewolf? We all turned to look at the couch. The werewolf hadn't moved, not an inch, just sitting there, eyes locked on nothing, silent. The laughter faded into silence. The tension in that room was like ice in the air. Josh walked over to him, half laughing, half confused. "Hey man," he said, "the joke's over. Who are you?" No reply. "Buddy, say something." Still nothing. Josh reached out, grabbed the werewolf mask, and pulled it off. That's when the screaming started. Underneath wasn't a mask of flesh. It was a dead man's face, pale gray and waxy. His eyes were open, glassy, staring into nothing. A trickle of yellow bile clung to the corner of his mouth. His lips were slightly parted, frozen in a final breath he'd never finish. He wasn't sleeping. He wasn't acting. He was dead, right there, on the couch, the entire night. The party exploded into chaos. People screamed, tripped, ran out into the cold night. Someone called the police, and within minutes, red and blue lights painted the walls. The coroner confirmed what we already knew. The man had been dead for hours. Cause of death, a massive drug overdose. He had simply wandered into the house, sat down, and died quietly in the middle of a college Halloween party. He wasn't anyone's friend. He wasn't invited. He was a homeless man, maybe in his 40s. No ID, no known address. The police couldn't even confirm his real name. Just another lost soul who slipped through the cracks, a mystery with no answers. Days later, I attended his funeral. There were only a handful of us there. Me, a couple of friends, and the priest who read from a worn-out book. No family, no photographs. Just a simple wooden coffin, paid for by the state. I remember standing there thinking, why us? Why our party? What made him choose that place, that mask, that night to end it all? Maybe he wanted to be surrounded by people one last time. Maybe Halloween, a night where everyone pretends to be someone else, was the only place he felt like he belonged. Or maybe it was all coincidence. I'll never know his name, but sometimes, late at night, when the moonlight hits just right, I think about that werewolf on the couch, and I wonder if somewhere, in whatever comes after this life, he's finally at peace, howling at the moon. Not every mystery ends with answers. Some stories remain open wounds, quiet reminders of the thin line between horror fiction and real life. If you found this story haunting, subscribe to True Crime Archives channel for more true mysteries, unexplained deaths, and chilling real-life horror. And tell me, why do you think he chose that party? Was it fate? Or something darker calling him to that couch?